Alright, in this video, we're going to go over learning targets 2 and 3. Learning target 2 is going to fit a linear function for scatter plots, and then learning target 3 is going to interpret the slope and intercept. And so what we're first going to do is start by defining a regression line. This is also kind of called a line of best fit. Linear model, you probably won't hear that one quite as much. Actually, you'll probably hear line of best fit more than anything else. And this is just a line that's drawn through a scatter plot. We talked about a scatter plot in the last video and all the different types of scatter plots. So this is just a line drawn through a scatter plot. And the line that we draw through it is chosen so that it comes as close to as many points as possible. So in this example right here, we've got a table with couples' ages, and we've got the husband's age over here, and we've got the wife's age over here. And so what we're first going to do is just create a scatter plot of all of these different things. And so if I'm looking at some sort of scale for this, I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to put the husband's age down here. And I'm going to put the wife's age over here. And so if I'm going to create some sort of a scale here, it looks like our values range from about 36 to 72 actually, and then from 33 to 76 for the wife. So I'm going to scale these both the same since the values are pretty close to the same here. And we always have to start at 0 on both. And then let's see, if we go by, we could probably go by like 8s or so, keeping in mind that our highest value is going to be 76. So let's kind of go by 8s for both. So we'll go 8. We don't even need to go up that high, but I just included a few extras anyways. Making sure that you have a good scale on both axes is going to be pretty critical when it comes to analyzing or drawing the line. Because depending on your scale, like your graph could look very different depending on which scale you want to use. So once we've got it scaled, we've got both axes labeled, all you're really doing now is plotting points. So we're going to plot a husband age of 36, which would be right about there, with a wife age of 35. It's really going to be right about there. And so from this point, like, you guys all know how to plot points. Like, you've done this tons and tons of times. It's not a particularly difficult task. So go ahead and just pause the video. I'm going to go ahead and plot these, and when you unpause, these will all be here, and you can kind of check to make sure that yours at least looks similar to mine. So go ahead and pause and plot all these points, and then unpause when you're ready to go. Okay, so we've got all the points plotted. We see that there's a lot of points right in this area, right around the 30, 40, 50 ages. And then we've got this older couple here, the 72 and the 76. And so what we can do is we can fit a line to these values. And to do that, we're going to try to pick 2 points that will make a line that goes through most of the points, or as close to as many of them as we can. So it would not be a good idea to pick this point here and this point here, because our line would end up, well, I didn't draw that very well, but our line would end up looking kind of like that, and it's not really very close to most of these points. Okay, so your goal is to sort of pick 2 points that are going to make a pretty decent line. So I'm going to pick this one here, and I'm going to pick this one here. And so when I draw a line through those two, it gets pretty close to most of the points. It touches a few of the others. It has a couple above the line, a few below. So that's a pretty decent line. And so that's how you can just draw a line. Now, we want to, part of learning target 2 is interpreting this line. So we want to go ahead and find the equation for this line. And the way that we're going to do that is just like we did last unit. We're just going to find the coordinates of each of these points, and just like learning target 9 from last unit, knowing the coordinates, we will be able to figure out the equation of this line. So it looks like the coordinates of this one, it looks like that was maybe a 37, 36 maybe. Looks like that was our 37, 36. And it looks like this point here was maybe 51, 50. So once we know these coordinates here for these points, then all we have to do is find the equation for this. Okay. So I've got my 2 points here. We're going to go through just like learning target 9 from last unit. We're going to find the equation for this line. And in this case, it worked out pretty well because our slope is just going to be 1. So we know this is y equals 1x plus b. I'm going to substitute in a value here. I'm going to substitute in a 37 and a 36. And so b must be -1. So our equation for this line that I've just drawn, our line of best fit there, the equation for that line we just found is y equals 1x minus 1. All right? And so we're going to kind of talk about what does this 1 mean. A slope of 1 in this case, if we're looking at these two variables, means that for every 1 year that the husband gets older, the wife also gets older by 1 year, which makes sense because, if the husband in this marriage or this relationship or whatever is getting 1 year older, he's going from 39 to 40, like most likely the wife is going to get older during that year too. It's not like the husband's going to get older and the wife just jumps into some fountain of youth and like never gets older again. So this slope of 1 means that for every 1 year that the wife ages, the husband ages 1 year also. Or you could say it vice versa. You could say for every 1 year that the husband ages, the wife also ages 1 year. Okay, so that's what this slope of 1 meant. In other cases, we will see different slopes that would make more sense in terms of those two variables. But a slope of 1 definitely does make sense in terms of these variables. So the next thing that we have for you is a little website that you'll probably want to try this on either Safari or Internet Explorer if you have either one of those at home. It may work on an iPad or an iPod, I'm not sure. Your browser needs Java, so if you know you have a browser that has Java installed on it, go with that one. But go ahead and try this. If you type this into your URL, it'll come with this little simulation thing, and what it'll let you do is it'll ask you to plot a whole bunch of random points on here, and then click on student guess, and you'll try to fit a line to this scatter plot. And then when you check computer fit, it'll show you how close you were to the actual line. Okay, so you can kind of play around with that. It's kind of a little thing that you can sort of get a feel for how these lines work. If you don't have a browser that this works on at home, then don't worry about it. This is purely just for if it works, fantastic. This is a good tool. If not, it's not a huge deal. So don't get too concerned over it. For class, what I'd like you to do is take this table of values here, make a scatter plot for it, and then describe how the slope and y-intercept relate to these two variables. Okay, so your first job is to just make a scatter plot, plotting all these points on here, and then fit a line to it, find the equation of your line, and talk about what the slope and the y-intercept mean.